They say
monsters
don't
exist.
But what if I told you they walk among us in plain sight? Imagine the chill creeping down your spine when you're
Alone.
the unsettling sensation of eyes boring into you from the shadows. Yet, when you turn, nobody is there. Picture yourself in a crowded grocery store, heart racing, as an inexplicable dread clings to you like a dark, dark cloud. Monsters are real. This is American Whiskey, and every Friday we get together for Sip and Solve, where we dive into the bone-chilling tales that remind us of darkness lurks just beneath the surface. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of American Whiskey, the Sip and Solve Friday. I'm Sturg, joined with my co-host, Justice League,
How's it going, guys?
Peanut,
What's up, everybody?
and Levi over there in the corner working the soundboard and YouTube and Facebook. And today we're diving deep into one of the, the America's most infamous serial killers. It's the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah, this case has captivated true crime enthusiasts for decades. It's filled with mystery, intrigue, and plenty of conspiracy theories also.
Well, it's funny you say conspiracy theories because there's a lot about this case.
Mhm.
So grab your favorite whiskey, beer, cider. Let's sip and solve the enigma of the Zodiac Killer. What are we sipping on tonight, boys?
So I got me for some reason I'm getting into, like, if I don't like a whiskey, I'm getting into mixing it with cranberry juice. It's like it's a carb-free cranberry that I get at Aldi. And it's really good, but there's something about mixing it with the whiskey. I kind of like it. It gets a little wine flavor, kind of,
Nice.
with a punch. So that's what I've got. I'm drinking the Walking Dead one.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Yeah. I figured that's worthy of mixing.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm
what I
surprised
got.
it's even good mixer.
What are you guys sipping on tonight?
Peanut,
I'm actually doing a water.
Oh, awesome.
you starting your sober February a day early?
Yes, sir. I'm starting it out today. I'm
Okay.
Good
the
luck
whole
to
month
you.
of February.
We'll be-
see.
We'll be rooting for you.
We'll see how long we make it.
I'll drink to that.
Cheers. Yeah, cheers, brother.
Good old booth.
I'll tell you, even in the
Latte.
bottles, man.
I told you these are my favorite. I was upset when I didn't get to drink the last ones.
I know those are the good ones.
Can I get a couple of Michelob's, boss? Yeah. So one thing is, when you guys tune in here tonight, if you're having a drink, share it with us. What are you guys drinking tonight? But I'm really excited for this episode. Dylan's the one that brought this up about the Zodiac. A lot of people know about the Zodiac Killer. And so it was just, what a great opportunity to do it today. We got the candles lit up. But and Burned Out Winery right in the front, even though they're not here, but they are here. With that being said, let's do one commercial break real fast. If you're looking for a unique wine experience, check out Burned Out Winery. Founded by a team of siblings who turned their passion for winemaking into a thriving business. They focus on crafting exceptional small batch wines, from Moscato to tart cherry and spiced apple to their delightful sangrias. There's something for everyone. Each bottle tells a story, complete with a creative name that reflects their journey. Their wines are not only fantastic, but they're also affordable, making them a great choice for any occasion. You can easily order online at burnedoutwinery.com or connect with them on Facebook. They deliver Whether you're local or out of state, they'll ship right to your front door. Support this hardworking team and savor the taste of Burned Out Winery. This is Big Sturg with American Whiskey. All right, guys. So don't forget to tell us what you guys are sipping on the night. We're going to dive into this story. But first, every week, I always make sure that we try to talk about the early life of the person that we're talking about. And I think we have to start there and talk about the early life of the Zodiac Killer. Although his identity remains unknown, the killer is, believed to be born in probably the 1930s.
Yeah, some theories they have also suggest that he grew up in Northern California, which aligns with, his locations of his latest crimes and that.
As always, with most serial killers, I wouldn't say always, with most, he was likely a troubled individual, possibly exhibiting antisocial behavior from a young age. This kind of background is often seen in serial killers.
And I think we've seen that,
I wouldn't even say in just serial killers. I would just say these monsters.
Yeah. And when you go and you look, what part, like, what do they have inside of them that makes them this? It seems to be that they all have something in common.
Yeah.
And, the Zodiac Killer was really known for a series of murders that took place in the late 1960s to even the early 70s, primarily in San Francisco Bay Area. And they think his first victims, I should say, was Betty Lou Jensen and David, I guess it's Faraday.
Yes.
I hope that I say that right.
Faraday.
And this was in December 20th, 1968. The location was Lake Herman Road, Vallejo, California. And, Betty and David, they parked the car and they were approached by a Zodiac Killer. But where they were that night, I don't know if you guys have looked much into this, but they kind of were just looking for a place to go hide.
Yeah, because they're 16, 17-year-olds.
They're youngins.
You go and you park and you have a makeout session.
You're making out, you're hoping to get lucky that night.
You're hoping to get to third base.
That's right. Maybe home plate. We don't know. But you go there and hopes to get a little silent. And that's where everybody went. That was this location in that area. And Jensen and, Faraday were parked in Faraday's car when a man ends up approaching, and the killer shot them multiple times with a .22 caliber weapon. And actually, Jensen was found lying on the ground. He was shot 5 times, while Faraday was discovered in the car with a single gunshot wound. And this murder was, the first official attributed to, they knew Zodiac at least started here.
Because that's where he sent his first.
Yeah, the first letter and everything, but there is also evidence that he possibly started before this, but this is definitely where it at least started.
I was about to say, it'd be really troubling if you make your first killing and then send a letter like this. I feel like he had a few before and he got comfortable with it.
Yeah, like he decided how he was going to do it. He wanted to perfect, If you listen to Ed Kemper's interviews, he calls it a vocation. It's a job. It's they don't look at themselves as monsters. So before you go out, if you're an artist, a guitar player, you don't go and play your first show the very first time you play guitar, right?
And most of these monsters are middle-aged guys, you know, just like you're saying, it all along.
But when you're learning that guitar and you want to go out and about, you learn, right? Well, that makes me wonder too. I think what you said, Dylan, really hits it good. This is the first documented murder.
But I don't think it was his first.
But did he tune himself up to get to this point?
Yeah, it's such a brutal start to his serial killings. It set the tone for what was to come. Darlene Farron and Michael, I'm probably going to mess it up. Magua.
Yeah, I think so.
It was on July 4th, 1969. Location was the Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo, California.
Yep, same location.
Same
town.
Yep. Darlene, she was 22. Michael was 19. The couple was parked in Farron's car. When the Zodiac approached, he shined his flashlight into the car and opened fire, hitting both victims. Farron was killed instantly, while Magoo actually survived, despite being seriously wounded. The Zodiac Killer actually sent a letter to the police boasting about his attack and including details only the killer would know.
Now, look at the first murder. Look at this one. What do you notice?
Identical.
It's the same thing, young.
Yep. Same town, just out parking.
Yep. And the other thing that you notice here is, if you go back and there was a survivor here.
Yeah.
They thought it was a cop that had just pulled up behind them. And, they had no idea what was coming. And, Michael ends up surviving this. And he says, they thought they got caught, doing the deed inside of the car, which is, at the young age, you're scared, right? You're like, God, shit, mom, dad are going to find out. But he puts the gun in there, the flashlight in there, shoots, but he ends up, and I think Zodiac goes to leave. And Michael at this point is actually moaning. So he gets back out of Zodiac, gets back out of the car. And it's that time he goes back over and shoots Michael again, gets back in the car, leaves the scene. But this whole time he's actually still alive.
Yeah. That, he didn't plan on that survivor at all.
So at this point, I feel like his ego's on cloud 9 and he's starting to get cocky. So he has the audacity to write to police about it and shares only information that police would know and reveled in the chaos he created.
And that's kind of where for a fact this is where it could have started before, but that's how the police know for a fact this is when it started.
Right.
Because he the police, when they go to a crime scene, they don't tell the public everything. They're always going to hold back something so that way, because believe it or not, guys, there's people that want to say, hey, I murdered that person, even though they didn't.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're getting to this one in the future, but he was given details that the police missed, and he'd be like, hey, go back and look at this place and you'll see my sign I left.
Exactly.
And they'd go back and look like, oh shit, he was right. So the third killings, it was Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell. It was on September 27th, 1969. Lake Berryessa, Napa County, California. So California again. Cecilia was 22 and Brian was 20, around the same age as the other ones. The details on it is the Zodiac approached the couple while they were picnicking. He wore a hood with the symbol on it and brandished a gun. After tying up Hartnell, he stabbed both victims, shooting Hartnell in the back. He left a letter at the scene, further taunting law enforcement. So this just goes to show that he's evolving with his killings. He's not just walking up, shooting them and running. He took time to stab these guys and tie them up.
And not only that, he's almost like, when you become a superhero, you end up making yourself a costume, and that way you hide your identity. It seems like at this point, he kind of does the same thing with the mask that he creates this mask with a symbol, and it's just a whole outfit. And what you're seeing here, and I think you just hit that, was it's getting more gruesome.
Right.
And you're noticing that
he's getting that confidence.
Yeah.
Like they can't catch me no matter what I do.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Using a knife and being that up close and personal, he's getting comfortable with what he's doing now.
And here's the other thing. A lot of people are going to say, he was an intelligent guy and this and that, but I don't think that's necessarily it. A lot of serial killers, it's a game, and they want to be caught. What else could he do? I mean, he could have just done it and been silent. So, him reaching out to the police, even though he was getting more aggressive and more, personal, I would say, stabbing somebody is very personal.
See, I feel like he was sitting at home and in some sick and twisted way, he's enjoying this, having the time of his life, laughing like, you idiots, I just told you exactly who I am, where to find me, and you guys are too stupid to realize it.
Now, if you guys are watching later on and you're listening on like Spotify, you'll see Gordon Chinaman just said something that I kind of just said the opposite of, but I agree with him. He said he was trying to prove that he was smarter than the police and proving that he can't be caught. I kind of agree with that, but he's opening up that conversation and that lingo with the police to see if they can catch him. It's a game.
It's a cat and mouse.
He's
game.
getting the
Yeah.
thrill.
Yeah. He doesn't want to just kill him, but what fun is that? Let's see if I can, if you need to pause and go back if you're listening later and look at the codes that he writes. He writes some letters and it's all coded.
Yeah.
And you see, this evolving with each of these murders. And, Shepard and Hartnell's murders, these were probably some of the most chilling attacks, largely due to the fact that the Zodiac's, was he strived very hard to make that one as disgusting as possible, more personable. And, it showed a level of the planning and, like you just said, confidence. It's, is he smarter? And he wants to know that. That's the thing. You got to believe that he wants to know if he is. So he's testing these cops. Now, we're on to the fourth murders. And this is Paul Stein. We're still in 69. Now, the first murder, I believe I said 1968, December of 68.
He's not taking much time in between.
He's not. The next murder was July 4th of 69. And then back at September 27th, 69. It's only October. So we're looking under a month later.
Yeah.
October 11th of 1969. Once again, we're in California, San Francisco, California, Modesto Heights. And if you look at the map, these are all relatively close. And, he's a 29-year-old. Paul was only a 29-year-old. So again, young, little older, but still young. And if you look at his pictures, you would think that he was probably a 20-year-old. He was looking a good-looking young guy. Now, Stein was a taxi driver who picked up the Zodiac in the Castro district. Now, after driving him to Modesto Heights, the Zodiac shot Stein in the head. The killer's actions were, brazen, the least. And he was so close to proximity to the witnesses who reportedly, they saw what happened. They called the police. The Zodiac later sent a letter to the press boasting about what he had done in this murder as well.
Yeah. Each of these murders they escalated in brutality and complexity. The Zodiac seemed to thrive on, the fear.
And that's the big thing. He that's what he's trying to create. It's the fear.
Yeah.
He's trying to create, it's really sad, but that's just how the brain is wired for this guy, whoever it was.
He just wants chaos.
And that's what
everybody be scared of living the person.
Nobody wants to go try to get lucky and, or try to get the second base in mom and dad's car, out in the middle of nowhere now because they're too scared to. But what makes the Zodiac Killer particularly notorious is the letters that he sent to the media and the police.
Yeah. And he often include, ciphers.
Yeah.
Ciphers.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of the big word to use, make me sound smart.
Yeah.
But ciphers, challenge the public to decode them. One of the most famous was a 408 character cipher, which took days.
I mean,
to
dude,
solve.
isn't that crazy?
Days.
It is.
It's just crazy.
It is. So
That's some sick shit. My wife would be like, I'm going to crack this,
Yeah, but that's even
It's
more to, hey, let's play the game. I'm going to make a big one to figure out this time.
well, hey, I'm
So they
smarter
keep
than you
getting
are.
bigger and bigger.
Mhm.
And that's why we keep discussing the significance of these letters and how they contributed to the killer's mystique. His first letter was sent shortly after the killings of Jensen and Faraday, and it marked the beginning of the taunting of law enforcement. And it was literally, like Peanut said, it's a cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
We don't even know if those codes were deciphered the right way.
That's right.
Yeah.
No
That's
one
right.
does.
Now, and that's a good point. Now, before we get to our next segment, I do want to play a quick commercial for you. Vaughn Davis over at Schoolhouse Farms, a good friend of the podcast. I mean, of course, if you look up front of here again, Burned Out Winery, we love those guys. And yes, I saw somebody put, are we having a seance? No, we're trying to vibe here, guys. All right. So let's play the commercial for Schoolhouse Farms.
Hey, Sturg, I want to show you something.
Discover the taste of freshness at Schoolhouse Farms. Join Vaughn Davis and Beth Cole, passionate bird watchers and friends from York County, Maine, as they transform their love for nature into a thriving business. Since 2016, they have been dedicated to growing and distributing premium sunflower kernels, oils, gourmet popcorn, and heirloom grain products like corn, flour, and grits. What do they offer? Birdseed suppliers, high quality black oil sunflower seeds for local markets. Food retailers, a selection of sunflower oils, roasted kernels, gourmet popcorn, and heirloom cornmeal. Online shoppers enjoy gourmet popcorn and confection sunflower kernels from the comfort of your home. Floral markets, stunning sunflowers for Ohio-based florists. Distillers, specialty grains for brewing and distillation. Popcorn vendors, are you a kettle corn vendor? Talk to Vaughn or Beth about supplying your business with the lowest cost, high quality mushroom popcorn in the industry. Taste the difference. Customers can shop for delicious sunflower kernels, popcorn, flavored oils, and heirloom cornmeal and grits directly on their website or at selected retail stores and farmers markets across Ohio, Indiana, Maine, and New Hampshire. Their name pays tribute to the historic Freysinger School, built in 1862 on Davis Farms property. This one-room schoolhouse has a rich history, having served the community until 1939. Are you ready to connect? If there's an exciting opportunity to discuss, they would love to hear from you. Follow Schoolhouse Farms on Facebook today and become part of the community. This is Big Sturge with American Whiskey. Now let's explore some of the main suspects. And this part right here, I will tell you, Justice is really excited about, because not only do we like to share this story, but if it's unsolved, what is the point of looking at it? Well, you want to figure out who's at fault for these. And so I did my research, and we all did the research. We came up with who we kind of thought might be those guys, and each one of us are going to kind of share what, the one that we think it could be. And I think the numerous individuals that we're going to talk about tonight, they've all been considered they'd be considered viable candidates. And so let's get it started, boys.
I was thinking about Arthur Lee Allen. He was one of the most potential suspects. He had a criminal history and also linked to the area.
And if you go back and look, all the murders, I even believe that he had no alibi.
Yeah.
Like he had an alibi, but nobody could back up his alibis. I know, Dylan, you know a lot about these suspects. Is there anything you want to add on to Arthur?
So Arthur, he was just an easy guy to blame because he was that career criminal.
Yep.
He was in the area. It was just easy to pin on him. He fit the description. He fit the age model. He was a career criminal in and out of prison. And this happened to be during a stretch that he was out of prison. So he just fit that model.
And you go to look at Arthur, and I think Peanut's on the right track. You go to look at it, and he could never, nobody could verify his whereabouts and all that. And, you can't take away the fact that he is a career criminal. He did some bad shit in his time. So we have to keep him in the crosshairs as a Zodiac.
So the next one is my favorite suspect. I think this guy is it to a T. He has the FBI backtracking saying, no, it's still unsolved, which is weird because they haven't said it about any other guy that they said is the person. It's Gary Francis Poste. He was an Air Force veteran who recently died in 2018. The reason why he's interesting here is he had the background to know how to kill someone.
Mm-hmm.
There was actual DNA evidence found at some of these crime scenes, and a well-known group called the Case Breakers actually linked him to all 5 murders. And It is not on the FBI's list, so you won't read it online, but they actually linked him to another killing in 1966.
He's a convicted murderer.
100%. But at the age of 80 is when he died. A few years before that, case breakers actually have proof that he gave away quietly to his local favorites in California weapons, pistol parts, gunpowder, bullets, shell casing, knives, more than 1,000, including 25 different calibers.
Wow.
So this guy in California, where it's hard to obtain guns,
Yeah, right.
had an arsenal of over 1,000 guns, but he's not your lead suspect. Weird to say.
I think, when and the company that, or the group that he's talking about are people that go and they try to solve these unsolved crimes, and they know what they're doing. So if they coming out and they're saying, I've got evidence, they got the evidence.
So to add to that, Sturg, a journalist that got some of these weapons, boxed them up, and sent them to be investigated in labs in 3 different states. So he didn't just send them to one guy and tell this guy, like, hey, I need you to say this.
Right.
He boxed them up in multiple different boxes, sent them to 3 different states. And the guy that he talked to at the FBI, because let's be real, journalist has an in everywhere.
100%.
Said the evidence is irrefutable.
Yeah.
It's a match.
Now, and I love this. This was Dylan's favorite part of this. He loves the suspect part. And, let's discuss the evidence for and against these suspects that we brought to the table, as well as, any new developments, which I know you're talking about, Dylan. The Zodiac remains, elusive, and the investigation has had, many twists, lots of turns.
Yeah. I mean, the Zodiac Killer's impact on popular culture is undeniable.
Yeah, it is.
Films, books, documentaries, they've kept the story alive.
We're talking late 60s, right? And this thing's still popping off.
Well, Peanut, there's even more than that. We can go to Dayton tonight and do Zodiac freaking escape rooms.
Yeah.
Like, that's bone chilling.
Yeah, it is, actually.
So it's also sparked a renewed interest in cold cases and psychology of serial killers, which is why I brought this up to Sturg, because we were talking the other day and we said we want to do more cold cases.
Yeah. I think we're going to start focusing on that. And I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek of next week's here after we're done here. We'll have a little off the record conversation when we're done. But this, this case, it really remains unsolved. And it's really sad. We're talking the late 60s and early 70s. And it's still remaining, unsolved. And I think, Sean, man, the question is was he smarter? I mean, right now he seems to have, outsmarted him, but many believe, it will never be solved. And adding to the legend, it seems even, inspired by a host of amateur, web sleuths trying to solve the mystery.
Exactly. And as we warm up, let's discuss some of the theories surrounding the Zodiac Killer. Do you think he's still alive?
I think he died in 2018.
That's your guy.
Could he have passed away without ever being caught?
It's a chilling thought. I mean, the mystery, it's going to continue, but the discussions around it being, it brings us together. So, Peanut, I have to ask you after this, conversation, in your own words here, brother, and we talked about it prior to going live. What is what are you thinking, man?
I think it's fascinating with cases, the fascination with this case, shows our desire for closure and justice. I mean, that's might be why this case is still around today, because it's the unknown that people wants to know.
Yeah, Chris, the guy that said that, actually, I did a little more research onto it, and he was just looking for some quick internet fame.
He was looking for money.
He actually had no proof of shit. He created his own Zodiac letters that they knew that were fake because they deciphered them in like 30 seconds.
Now, Peanut, I kind of want to bounce off what you said there. You say you think it's fascinating and it shows our desire for the closure and the justice. But my question to you, Peanut, is what do you think happened? Who do you think? I mean, do you think this was it a one man thing? Do you think the man's dead? Do you think,
I think I personally, I think it's a one man thing, and I do think our man's deceased by now.
Mhm.
What about you,
If
Sturg?
not, he'd be very, very old.
So I've been saving this.
Hit it.
I believe the Zodiac Killer was not one man. I believe that, maybe he was the one man that pulled the trigger and there was one man at this crime scene. But I believe that somebody, after doing all the research, you guys know I write the script. I end up going into these I don't go to bed till 5 a.m. because I'm on YouTube watching this shit. And I'm like, so I think we're looking at a law enforcement officer, somebody that, knows how to get away. Let's be honest, Lover's Lane, sometimes there's more than one people. There's people that saw this man and yet to been caught. I mean, so I say, yes, he's dead. 2, I think he was a law enforcement officer or knew a person in law enforcement. And I think that he did not act alone. I think, him and another guy or I think Chris just even just said a team of individuals, I think came together and they were sick bastards. Like they were just sick group of people and they made this happen. Now we don't even know if it was just one guy. We don't know, was there a getaway driver? Was there somebody else in the car? Nobody is that made it out and knew.
I mean, and that may, that kind of, now that you brought it up, it kind of brings me back to, he knows how to toy with law enforcement and even knowing where to, place something that law enforcement isn't going to find.
Yeah.
So he can say, look at this.
Yeah. We're going to do a bonus thing, Peanut. And I can't wait to explain this guy to you. He was a newspaper reporter and he had a line at his apartment. And his goal was to try to get people to call in and share creepy stories. Well, the Zodiac called and he kept calling into this line and eventually he was having conversations with them. And some of the things that he said were intriguing, but the fact that his voice changed sometimes, but they were still lined up with some of the things. Some of the things that these individuals were saying were things the police never mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's either a cop calling the line that knew about the evidence, or there's multiple people involved. So you look at this and you kind of wonder to yourself, Peanut, you kind of hope it's just one guy because you're hoping there's not a lot of sick bastards like this.
Yeah.
But you can't help but wonder if there's multiple, right? I mean, Justice, what do you think?
He could have an accomplice.
Or multiple.
No,
We're going to do a bonus episode about the guy that did the call-in line because it's going to be a 2-hour episode.
I would agree.
It's really crazy.
Yeah.
I can see both sides of it. If it was Poste, depending on what he did in the Air Force,
And I still think he could be part of it.
he could have been a lone man. But also, even if it is still him, I think there could have been a second person that kind of set these crime scenes up and let him do the killing.
Yeah.
Because it would take a real genius to be able to, a mad genius, to be able to kill someone and then make it such a deciphering code.
Yeah.
I think there was a different person writing these codes than there was making the killings.
And that's what I think. That now that I say it makes sense to you, right? I mean,
well, I thought that too.
It seemed like a team effort. But I didn't. When I started writing our script, I didn't think that.
Well,
I thought it was your guy, Poste, yeah. Poste, or I thought it was him. But the more that I dug in, because when you write the script, you want to be as accurate as possible, but you can't help but click on some shit and like a Reddit stream or a YouTube, and you start seeing like these retired FBI agents that are going through this, and they tell you what you think. Dude, there was 100 of them. I mean, I'm being facetious there, but there was a couple of them that were literally, I Googled them. They were legitimate retired FBI agents that said there's no way this guy did it alone. There's no fucking way.
But what's funny about that, Sturg? What is the outlying factor with what you're saying with Poste?
Yeah, other than being intelligent and being trained?
He was actually in a criminal posse that had around 10 people in it, and he was considered their leader.
So he was Charles Manson.
Yes.
So
I told you I knew a little bit about this guy.
Again, granted, you have the computer and you're a fast ass typer and you're a very quick educator. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that part. But
I've been trying to educate myself for a week and a half writing this. I did not know that because I didn't want to take too much time on each individual, but I do want to hit on the comment. Now, guys, we are pretty much done with sharing the story here, but we're going to keep going for a minute because next week's episode is going to hit off what Chris just said. And Chris said, I don't think that you would be able to get away with it now. Too much technology now. Not true. Here's the thing. There is a serial killer. His name is Israel Keys. Israel Keys was in Alaska. I'm going to give you a short snip of him.
Why does that sound familiar?
Because he was a sick son of a bitch.
Why do I know that name?
So he would fly to different states 10 years prior to going back. He would go into a forest with a shovel and he would bury kill kits. You would put it in a bucket, shove it down underground, bury it over, grass would grow. He would write the coordinates down and only he would know what those coordinates were. He was a photographic memory. So he would write it down. That's what he tell people. Like when they law enforcement, he'd write it down and look at it and close his eyes and take a picture of it with his head. He could go back to it. So what he would do, 8 years later, he lives in Alaska, but he'd go on a business trip to Texas. He'd go undig that kill kit and he would just randomly drive around. He would find somebody and, he would kill him. This went on for 30 years. 30 years. Finally, he said he killed a girl in Alaska that was working a coffee stand. He climbs through the windows. There's video of it. Pulls her out of it. And he said, I wanted to be caught. He took her credit card, went to an ATM in Utah, used the card, smiles at the camera because he wanted to get caught. He was getting tired.
Yeah.
But imagine if he never had done that. He would have never gotten caught. They would have never connected him because he would have been in 48 states.
Yeah.
Making these murders. And we're going to talk about him. He ended up killing himself because he refused to tell them how many people that he had murdered. His name is Israel Keys. And anyone that listens to these episodes, I want you to go and look up Israel Keys. And I want you guys to build what you think of Israel. There's hundreds of hours that I've gone through listening to these recordings, but this was the smartest man that I've ever, or first serial killer, or whatever. But what a piece of shit he was. I mean, super intelligent. And everyone that knew him were like, dude, he was a good guy. And then again, it's Israel Keys. Look him up. He lived in Alaska and got caught because he wanted to. And, he kept it going, man. They'd interview him. He's like, well, I can give you another one and another one. Who knows how many he killed? He ended up killing himself, because in his eyes, he's taking their souls to the grave with him when he dies. So that's you're going to want to tune in next week. You're going to want to hear about Israel Keys. It is the craziest, most obsessed case I've ever been with because I could not believe the thought process. He went on for like 10 years burying kill kits before he even killed somebody. It was all planned. None of the individuals were planned, but the scenarios was planned.
That is absolutely crazy.
So, guys, of course, we thank you for joining us this week on Sip and Solve. We hope that you've enjoyed our deep dive into the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah, and don't forget to share your thoughts and theories with us on social media.
We want to see what some of you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if we'll stay on here for a couple more minutes if anybody wants to talk about what they think. Gordon, that's going to be one. That's definitely going to be one. I've got a couple. We're going to do Israel Keys next week. We're going to do Tyler Davis the following week, which is one of the possible smiley face killers in Columbus.
H.H. Holmes.
Yep, that's a good one. Then we're going to dive into some local unsolved ones. We've got the JonBenet Ramsey. We talked about her, but I want to kind of dive back into that case because there's a lot of updates on that. So we'll do a part 2 on it. And then there's Dylan brought this one up. There was a guy in Cleveland Heights, I think it was, that captured like 3 or 4 women.
And they all had kids.
He was having kids, kept them in his house. One escaped and, can't remember his name. It was Israel. It was
Yeah, I can't remember it. I know
just to
it
get
was,
you guys. I want you guys.
It was big.
I want you guys that are listening to look these places up so you can follow Cleveland. So it was Ariel Castro.
Yes.
Ariel Castro. And what a fucking crazy case. So,
Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Remember I was talking to you earlier?
oh yeah, you could remember what you were. Yeah.
There's a new documentary out about it. O.J. Simpson.
Oh.
What a douche.
Am I wrong, though?
Do you say rest in peace, OJ? I don't think so.
Fuck O.J.
Did he do it?
100%.
I know, bro. When you write a book that's fictional and you call it If I Did It or whatever.
I mean, think about it. Dude ordered a limousine to pick him up. The limousine driver watches him walk into the house.
Yeah.
Then come back out and said, sorry, I was in the shower.
Yeah.
What?
The one thing that always, kind of drove me nuts was how the glove was so small.
Yeah.
You know what, Sturg?
Gordon said OJ's kid did it.
Sturg, I got an idea.
Do you really think that? I think he was like 5.
Hey, you know what we could start doing? Let's come up with a list of 4 or 5 episodes. We'll create a poll at the end of our weekly episode, and whatever one on there gets the most votes is the one we'll do for the week.
You know how much writing that consists of, bro?
Well,
I'm not trying to be rude here, but you guys don't do any of the writing.
I'm not saying we're going to let it go until freaking Thursday night.
But here's what I will tell you guys. I'm 4 episodes ahead of you guys. So I have 4 scripts right now that are written. So we're good. Yeah.
So put a poll up of 4 episodes.
Yeah, we can do that.
And whatever they vote on.
If the glove didn't fit, you must have quit.
Whatever gets voted on, that one goes, and we'll add a new one on there. It's a poll.
Okay.
It just gives people a choice. And the glove didn't fit when he wore another glove underneath it.
What do you mean?
He had to put on that little glove to put it on there so his DNA didn't get on it.
Plastic latex.
That was a latex glove.
I know. But a glove doesn't fit when you have your hand like this.
Nah. His kid was in his team and had horrible temper tantrums. I think OJ took the blame. No, OJ didn't take the blame.
OJ pled not guilty.
OJ never admitted to killing her. The dude definitely killed her. What was in the bag that the Kardashian had? Remember that? They were out front of the thing. There's video of him handing him this bag secretly, and no one ever knew what was in that bag. I'll tell you what it was. Everything had blood on
it. He should have freaking handed him his freaking Bronco too, because it had blood all over it too.
The right size gloves was in that bag.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the real gloves, the actual ones. I think that'd be a good case to do.
There's so much on that.
Now there's some really good ones from the old days, like 1800s, that I want to hit. There was some nasty.
Jack the Ripper.
I mean, Jack the Ripper.
Oh,
Cleveland Heights. It was in Cleveland, up by the Great Lakes. There was a man that was found guilty, then not guilty, then guilty, and then was set free. That supposedly murdered his whole entire family. But the sheriff there, I think we could get a hold of and sit down with an interview, because I tried to do it last time when I had my true crime podcast. He thinks that he's guilty, but I think he's innocent. And I think that'd be cool. Go back in time, hit some of these older ones.
That one's kind of weird because it's, you got that double jeopardy. So they had to come up with another thing.
But it was different crimes, but they were still able to. It was really odd. It was a really odd case, because you don't hear people get convicted, then released, then convicted again, and then released, because what they did, there was 6 people in the family, so they only took him out at one
at a time.
So in case they thought he could get released, they were going to hit him again with another murder, and so they kept doing it.
That's smart.
Doing it. It was smart, but the sheriff of this county really believes that he was the murderer, but I think that he was not. I don't think that he was. So, and I think this was in 1920s. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy case. And it's like the folklore of the town.
I mean, if you want to go back that far, I mean, you get Lizzie Borden.
Yeah,
that was a crazy case too.
I don't even know that one.
Yep, doesn't ring a bell.
What was that one?
Killed her parents with an axe. There's a song, gave him so many whacks.
Why did she do it?
She claimed she's innocent.
So, what do you think?
I think she did it. he's a wealthy guy, and she was in love with the maid. So
A maid?
Sounds like a crime of passion.
like
yes.
like was it a maid woman? She was like,
she was in love with the maid.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, Levi said rich people problems.
I know.
Well, actually,
The Donner Party. What is that, Gordon?
let's see if there's any update on our Menendez brothers.
Menendez, yeah, let's do a quick Menendez update. Sorry, I just burped in the mic and that was just absolutely disgusting. Taylor, what's your favorite unsolved murder, man? Any updates, boss? No, I don't want a lot of white noise here, boys. So if we're done, we're done.
Hold on. I'm looking at it right now.
I'm going to put you in charge of that case, Phil. The one you were just talking about.
Lizzie Borden?
Yeah, you're in charge of that case.
It's just talking about their mindset while they're waiting on the district attorney to make his decision.
They're going to go free.
I don't know if they'll go free right away, but I think it'll get overturned with the possibility of parole, which then I think they're going to play games with them and be like, oh, we're going to flop you for 10 years. Then after 10, they'll flop them for 5 and they'll end up dying.
I just want to know if O.J. Simpson's son actually did it. I've never thought about that.
I've never heard that.
Well, even Chris said it. If you look up a little higher.
Yeah, I've never heard that theory. I need to research that.
So the donor party was during the Oregon Trail. The party got stuck in a blizzard in the mountains and had to eat the dead.
I do.
What?
I kind of remember something about that.
Doesn't sound like a party.
I actually fell asleep to it because I was looking up stuff about the Oregon
Levi,
Trail.
beer me.
You want to know another case that'd be good to cover? So Jim Jones made his own religion. They went to like a different country. Gordon, what country was it? I know you're on it. What country was Jim was it Jim Jones? George Jones or Jim Jones, I think it was. So the U.S. government was coming in. He made poisonous juice.
Oh, Jones juice.
And 90% of the people.
Yeah, don't take
Colombia.
Jim Jones juice.
So they were in Colombia. And he had them so fucking brainwashed.
They thought he was Messiah.
Kids, women, everything. He's like, drink this juice and everything they said.
And we're all going to promised land.
Yeah, and I'll see you again. And like they drank it, and there was like hundreds of dead bodies, women, kids, that drank this shit. And I know, and Gordon said even got a sitting senator killed on camera. Literally, they were trying to get out of there. I think it was shot over by the airplanes.
So
crazy case. So let's write down the Jim. Is it Jim Jones?
Pretty sure it is.
Jim Jones case.
Do you want to? How touchy do you want to get here?
I mean, we can get real touchy, brother.
Did Ray Lewis really do it?
Yeah, of course he's a murderer.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can have a whole episode over that.
Maybe we can get him on for an interview.
I think he might kill us.
Well, that's true. What are some other good cases? Anybody else? What I think our boy down here is writing them down too. So anybody else want to add in a case? I think we got to go Charlie Manson. Just
100%.
That dude, they call him a serial killer, but he never killed anybody.
Right.
Yeah, he's like a lot of the others. He brainwashed him.
Yeah.
Had people do his dirty work for him.
Yeah. But he got, put in prison. And what about Jeffrey Dahmer? Jeffy was a fucking psycho, dude.
Sick dude.
What? Jonestown.
Timothy McVeigh.
Tim McVeigh. So what's not funny about Tim McVeigh, but do you guys remember when we did the case out of Texas, Waco?
Mm-hmm.
Timothy McVeigh was selling T-shirts when that was like that whole showdown was going on where the media was. He was in his van selling T-shirts and shit. And then 2 months later went and blew up the FBI building.
The Unabomber.
Unabomber, yeah. Was the Unabomber the one that put it in a shoe?
He did it multiple ways. His main thing was he would send it in the mail. But it wouldn't surprise me if he did a shoe.
And then we have there's so many different serial killers.
He's Ed.
Taylor,
Ed
how many
Guyan.
times are you going to say Ed Guyan? He saw
really,
it.
He
Google
really
him.
wants it.
Who's that guy? And look this bitch up.
I swear,
probably
if I
Taylor's
get a
dad or
naked
something.
picture.
That wouldn't surprise me, dude.
Okay, he's an American serial killer.
So if you guys are listening to this right
He
now,
probably
the case
flew
is
a
over,
plane in
but
1943.
we're just chatting now.
Look at that ball cap.
How did you hear about it, Taylor? BTK. I done that one before. Did we do it on here? I did on my review report one.
Oh, He was the body snatcher.
Robin Graves?
He was called the body cat snatcher.
I don't know what that is.
Of course, Taylor would know.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
Sick
yeah,
bastard.
all he has to do is walk over and freaking grab Taylor with one arm, and he's freaking flailing his legs.
Listen, it always cracks me up when you and John laugh at each other, but because you're so short, but then Taylor chimes in, and then I really laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here I am. I just sit over here. with my
Taylor,
mouth
you getting
shut.
married still? You and Taylor, you and
But no, you're dead right. He exhumed bodies from
that's what I thought.
grave sites.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Inspiration for Leatherface too.
Was he?
Yeah.
Why does it not surprise me Gordon knows it? Gordon's probably like an active serial killer. Nobody knows
Yeah.
it.
We're like top on the hit list.
For sure. Not because he hates us, just because it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually kind of honored that we're on his hit list.
He's waiting for us to get famous one
Yeah.
day.
You know how I know, Peanut? You know how I know you're sober?
Huh.
You're doing a really good job too. Is you're writing everything down. You used to do
Yeah.
that all the time, man.
Oh, shit.
I like
Sturg.
that, bro. You want to know what's fucked up, Chris, about that? That guy actually owned a food truck and fed the pigs, 2 people, after they ate the human bodies.
Yeah, didn't they?
He
find,
got
like teeth or
Did-
something.
no, they
you write
found
down
like this,
BTK?
like a certain bone. Yeah,
BTK?
Yeah, Dennis Rader.
you guys know what BTK stood for?
By torture, kill.
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. What was his name, Chris? Can you look that up real fast?
Who?
The Canadian guy that fed the victims.
You
to
were
his
talking
pigs.
about that.
I know. I was just talking about it a
Yeah.
couple days ago.
Yeah, because you were saying there's one specific part that the pig will not eat. Now,
And
is it teeth or a certain bone.
it's like
or
a vertebrae or some shit.
Sturge, I know.
Chris, look that
and-
up for me.
I know it sucks to do stuff about children, but one that we probably should do is Andrea Yates,
That's true. That's a good one.
the one that drowned her 5 kids.
We actually had one in a what road was that? It was off of here in Springfield. She murdered her kids on her bed. It was over off of Burt Street.
Burt Street.
Burt Street. Was it on Burt?
Yep, right on Burt Street. There's a rental house.
Yep. She laid her kids on a bed and murdered them because she said she was preventing. It was like,
They were going through a divorce. She didn't want her husband to get him.
but she tried to. I think she ended up trying the suicide because she killed herself, right?
Yeah.
I think the letter said that she was like trying to keep them from going like to hell. Like they try to make an excuse, but you're right.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it was because she was getting divorced. Robert Picton. Write that down. He's the Canadian serial killer. Now, Chris, while you're looking stuff up, there's also one, I believe he was in Texas. He actually cooked human meat
Yeah. Oh,
and fed it out of a food truck to people, and people ate.
Dude,
it
who
with
was
pork.
that?
I
That was,
forget what his name was.
we've talked about this before.
He fed human.
And he was the most popular food truck in the
He
area.
parked outside of a factory, and the workers would come out. They'd get barbecue pork, and it was actually barbecued human.
I mean, really, how would you know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
You
could
know.
you imagine looking and seeing his shit on the news, and then hearing that you had been eating human meat?
Yeah.
That'd be terrible. Then you got a liking for human. You're like, man, I got to get that human.
Yeah. It's even worse.
I got to get a human patty.
It's like a couple months down the road. Yeah, you get that craving.
Yeah.
Like, man, I want.
You get on the black market just trying to find some, ass cheek from some human.
We got Green River Killer.
Yeah, let's write down Green River Killer. We're just brainstorming here, guys.
That's
So,
who it was. Joe Matheny.
who that was making the human sandwiches.
He
Where was he from?
made his victims into burgers and sold them to unsuspecting
Yeah,
customers.
dude.
Baltimore.
Okay. I mean, shit, dude. Like that shit is crazy. You imagine that though? You're like watching Fox News or CNN. You see it like, hey, I know that guy used to buy my burgers off of him, and then you're like 100% human meat. You imagine that? Would you throw up?
I probably wouldn't, but
Peanut's like, how do I get more?
we might not want to do that one.
First
Why?
off,
We got our neighbor, man.
no. First off,
No,
He might be cooking us up.
probably.
That's a good idea, fellas.
That's cheap meat.
Yeah.
So Green River Killer, we wrote that down. Anybody else? What else is out there that you guys want to hear about?
Let's talk about us, baby.
Let's
Let's talk about you and me.
let's talk about American whiskey, sip and solving.
That was good.
Because it's all about us
Let's see.
and the family.
Let's talk about the VIP.
Unsolved.
You couldn't resist. It rhymed it good.
Let's talk about VIP. That don't get you dog shit. Do you get in free? No.
But it'll turn heads and it'll make them say, turn it around and scan the QR code.
What is the gravest? Okay, what about?
Oh, yes. The 270 shooter. Hey, Gordon, I actually have a funny story. Well, I wouldn't really say
Oh
funny
my God,
story
the
about that.
Washington sniper. I was in 8th grade when that happened. This dude went on for months sniping people. There was two. It was a young kid and a man, and they were going around. Yeah, they were popping the license plate up, and they were fucking killing people, dude. Just random people.
Yeah.
That one. Do Washington sniper.
I want to do the 270 shooter as well.
Yeah, write down 270.
You know what's interesting about that, Sturg?
What?
Or should I save it for the episode?
Oh, we can talk about it.
I actually got locked down. I was a young kid at the time. I got locked down in a store at the Jeffersonville outlets because he was in the police pursuit going by.
Seriously? The 270 shooter? Were you crying?
I didn't know what the fuck was going on. They literally just ran and locked the doors and made us all go to the back where they did their stalking.
look at Gordon Shire, man.
What was it? Me too? What does he mean, me too?
The house that was shot was 3 houses down from me, my teen years. I sold it.
Wait a minute. Gordon, you were around when the DC sniper or 270?
270.
I would guess the 270 because he went all up and down.
The DC sniper. What's crazy is I think the older guy died, but they're trying to get the kid that was involved with it. I think they're trying to get him out of prison now.
Oh, so one thing that we can definitely do a live on is when they finally release the redacted or the unredacted files of JFK and them guys.
They haven't done it yet.
They haven't done it yet, but Trump already ordered it.
Yeah, I seen that.
We got the Night Stalker.
Night Stalker's a good one.
And look, Taylor's coming up with all kinds. I'm starting to worry about this kid.
All right, here's a good one for you guys. And this is 20th century. You guys know the Axeman of New Orleans?
I've heard just rumors of it from being stationed down there, but I don't know many details.
That's a good one.
I'm running out of room.
All right. And this is like, it's not necessarily true crime, but there's always a mystery that I've always wondered about, and it's Flight 19. Flight 19. Yep. It was never, ever, it just disappeared, was never discovered. That's a good one. So I think we're good, guys. We're at an hour. We got a bunch of cases written down here, boss. I mean, we got a lot.
Oh, a whole page worth. Like Taylor's like ran them out like it's his job.
Did you write down Richard Ramirez? Because that's a good one.
Yep. I got everything down.
Well, guys, we appreciate you joining in on a Friday night. I know you guys are busy and you got, you bless your evening with us, and we hope you had a good time. And as always, Sturg.
Justice League.
The Peanut.
We are
American Whiskey.
Peace. Hey.